What's up, everybody, and welcome to the channel. We are here to talk about my post-patch UFL squad. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me rewind a bit. This is not the first patch by any means, as we all know, but this is largely regarded the make or break update for strikers with UFL because a lot of players are just getting sick of constant updates in the game not really changing. And there's a lot of things that make the game pretty close to unplayable right now. For most, not for all, but for most. And the numbers pretty much show that. All of the comments and the vast negativity around this game show that. But me saying we are here to prepare for the post-patch UFL gameplay, right, with the squad I will be using, should tell you something. I have it upon reliable sources that no, the update isn't this groundbreaking, extremely game-changing type of situation. However, based on how I have taken these changes, I believe the game will be playable again. And from there is always hope. But first and foremost, the game just had to be skill-based. That is the ground level game changer for me. If it's not a skill-based game, if you can still pack the back with 8 players, not touch your defense, and still manage to stay in games or even win games, there's no point in even playing. However, if that is fixed, then absolutely we can start talking. From there are other things that need to be, changed and fixed as well. And then we can at least get to a point where I will grind the game and play the game at a competitive level. And me saying that we're preparing my squad, right, in this video for this post-patch, this game update, should tell you exactly where I think the game is. Because I can tell you this, I wouldn't even be making this video, much less any more UFL videos. Maybe one more to say sayonara if I heard that the game was just, unplayable still and the update didn't go anywhere. So even though I can't go into too many details, me doing this video about preparing my roster should tell you something. So with that being said, let's get into the topic for today, which is my squads in the doghouse. The squads you see in the background are from my previous tactics videos, and as you see, I had pretty much the best squad you could get in the game. I grinded my way up and put money in as well. It was a little combo situation, but at one point I was only playing UFL. However, just like FC25 earlier on, the game went in bad direction and kept going in that bad direction to the point where I just barely played, just enough to keep, my pulse in the game. But competitively, I stopped grinding the game completely. It wasn't skill-based anymore. It was pretty much a waste of time. And since there was 2 good football games out there, I wasn't going to, put any more time into it outside of just the bare minimum to help others still playing that game. With that being said, along the way, I sold every player. If I could have gave those players away or gave coins away, or CP as it's called, I would have done it, but I can't. So what I did was sell all these players, and I started conducting experiments in which I put holes in the game all over the place. Putting all center backs in a squad, showing that they could be successful, putting players in all different positions and showing how little attributes meant. And long story long, I didn't care about losing, CR7 or Messi or Mbappe or Haaland or whoever, Camavinga, any of them. The only players that fit with these different experiments I was doing are my goalkeeper Bono, which isn't even in this video here. I didn't have him yet. And then Udogie and Dumfries, the wing backs. That's it. I think I still have Van de Ven as well, just because Van de Ven fit in with, putting center backs and different players in different positions. And Van de Ven actually ended up being a super solid option as a striker and a winger, which is crazy enough. But is this all fixed, what I'm talking about? No, right? The attributes still aren't as meaningful as they should be. There's still going to be a lot wrong. But as I said earlier, if the game is at a point where it's playable again, and it takes actual skill, meaning no more not controlling your defenders, no more just pressing AI assists and letting them do the work. I'm talking now you have to actually position your players in a good way to where they can defend. position your players to cut off passing and dribbling lanes and actually jockey back and choose when to tackle or not, and not let the AI do all the work, right? Similar to FC, where you can AI assist to sort of close the space, but then you have to take over that player if you actually want to make a play to win the ball back. If that wasn't the case right now, would I be playing? Probably not. So again, hint, hint. Now, is the spacing fixed? Is the depth of the defense fixed? Which were two things where UFL went in a terrible direction towards like largely what broke FC, right? There were other things too, but those were big reasons why FC kind of went off the deep end before their big patch, which I strongly believe that they copied off of Strikers and UFL on their original defensive concept, which is why it's crazy to me that Strikers went and messed with it, because it was fantastic. It created a great skill gap. It created the ability to use different formations and still be able to build up and create chances. It was largely based around skill, right? And your understanding of how to use your different tactics, whatever you may choose. That is the beauty of having a proper defense, right? Where there's actual talent in being able to defend, instead of just, who needs to know how to defend? Just hold the button down, AI can do it. Then I'll take the ball and try to attack. No, that is never going to be a good football game, because not only does it mess up the skill that it takes to defend, but it also makes attacking very dry, since there's nowhere really to build up. You're just attacking into a giant wall, right? So, with that being said, how will I do this? Me personally, I don't mind putting some bucks into this game, into any game. Not only because I create content, but because me personally, I'm not saying that this, maybe some players can relate, maybe they can't, but me personally, there's no other, hobbies that I have, so to speak. No other vices either. I'm past the whole partying stage, so there's no beer money that's needed. I don't really need any vanity type of things, materialistic things for myself outside of my gaming. That's literally my vice, if you want to call it a vice, my hobby, whatever you want to call it. And so putting some money into the game, no problem for me, which means I will take the CP that I have, take the whatever RP up to the max, and get the players that I want again. And then I will keep grinding and build my squad up either close to what you see here on screen, or, at least comparable. Now, that's one option. The other option is get lower base players, but players that I truly want to see, go far, right? Truly want to see boost up into 91 or whatever the new max is. Maybe they changed that, maybe they didn't, and see my own players become meta players, as opposed to just purchasing the top meta players. Now, the beauty of UFL, even though their thing, no gimmicks, fair to play, this and that, even though that's nonsense, because it's not true, because look what I'm saying right now. The fact that I can even do what I'm saying shows that it's not truly fair to play, because those players who don't want to put money in, who can't just go out and buy, the best players once they get enough RP to do so, right, to make the difference by putting money in and getting the CP needed, those players are put at a disadvantage. A true fair-to-play game would be that you can't purchase players at all. You have to grind up your RP and then purchase them that way. Since there's CP available, since you can purchase CP, right, even though it's the choice of the players, because that choice is there, it is not truly fair to play. However, it is much cheaper to get the top players in UFL than it is in eFootball and than it is in FC. So that definitely is a plus. And UFL and Strikers could absolutely talk about that, but they don't. They'd rather, and for whatever reason, give you this nonsense, fair to play, this and that, because it's not that at all. If you're just starting out the game, you're probably going to have to put like $60 in just to be able to compete. If you don't, it's going to be a long, brutal road until you can even, get a team that's at least going to get you where, as long as you have more skill, you can win, even if you're out-teamed, right? That's the beauty of UFL or any skill-based game, is that you don't necessarily have to have the top players to compete when it's skill-based, right? Unfortunately, you start so low when you first start the game as far as your starter players, that now, especially with the system, Strikers in UFL has, that even with way more skill than a player, because you're at these 50, 60 lowest rated players you can get to start off, and everyone else is pretty much at maxed out 91s right now, as long as they've even been playing the game somewhat. Not even hardcore, but just a casual grinder, casual, play every couple days or whatever. They're going to have a way higher rated squad, and most likely you're not going to be able to stand a chance in most games with your starter team. So I just wanted to prepare those type of players who are either starting a new account or who, you know, are looking to get into the game for the first time. And so they're going to have a starter team either way. It's not going to be as fun as maybe it was the first time around when everybody was starting equally and no one really had those 91 rated players. Unless they went out and bought them, which did happen, right? I know for me, as I climbed the ranks, I started facing all these, you know, top meta players and top meta teams. So eventually I kind of got to the point where I had to buy some of the best players. Now, I didn't have to go as far as I did, meaning I could have got, like, let's say, some 85s and 86s and grinded them up, because in my area, there aren't many Premier League players. So I was one of the first, like, 30, 40 players to get to Premier. And I thought, okay, that's who I'm going to be playing, other players that are Premier. Nope. Based on the matchmaking, I played other players in my area, which largely in smack dab in the middle of North America. Apparently, there wasn't many top-level players. I was playing Ruby, Diamond, a few Diamond. Even Diamond was, you know, not that many. And so the top teams that I was trying to match with, I largely didn't even face those players. But in Europe and South America and these other places, you better believe that everybody put money in to buy these top meta teams, and that's who was battling largely at the beginning. Now, everyone's had time to grind, and so I have to take that into account, that now I am starting at the top, so it's not exactly a restart. I've just been playing less since the game's been broken. And on top of that, everybody's had time to grind up and have a top-level team. So I can't go all the way down, maybe as far as I once would, as far as taking players if I go that route to grind up myself and create my own meta players. I still have to start somewhat decently as far as pace, which is most important. In UFL, I'm going to need to have the pace on each of the players. Some of the shooting stats, different things like that. Shooting, dribbling, and most importantly, pace are what I have to make sure are at least, you know, decent so I can compete, and then my skill will prevail. So I don't need to necessarily go the route where I get these meta players, but I absolutely can. Why I'm saying all this is because I want you to decide. Leave in the comments section the route you'd like to see me go, because I know there's some players out there that just can't afford these very top, the Haalands and Mbappes and all that. And I promise you that skill, as long as the game truly is skill-based, because I can see it myself. I'm going from trusted sources, and I do trust them, but I'm saying, as long as it's truly skill-based, you don't need the Haalands and Mbappes and all these players. You would do just fine with any player with decent stats. I'm saying as long as they have at least comparable speed, decent shooting, and decent dribbling, your skill will prevail, right? I'm not saying you can go out there with 60 and 70 rated players, maybe some 70, but you still don't need the full meta players to be able to win, as long as your skill is better than the other players. And I would love to prove that as well. So you be the judge. I can absolutely get this full meta team so you guys can watch the very best players play at a top level, or you can watch me grind up and create my own meta players. Yeah, we might hit some snags that we wouldn't have otherwise hit along the way with meta players, but there's great lessons in that, you know, to help people see how I navigate those situations. So, once again, you be the judge. Let me know in the comments. Should I start preparing to go full meta and buy all the best players again? Or should I buy some players that I can work up and create my own meta players along the way as I grind the game? Let me know. Keep grinding. Keep having fun. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.